how can we go about in housing really to forge a relationship so that the student learning is occurring outside the classroom but also in the halls? What are we not doing that we should be doing in the future?
I think that the biggest obstacle to that has been ourselves. That we see ourselves as educators, and I would argue that we are. But that's kind of a risky, frustrating conversation to have when the notion of education is the domain of faculty. Okay? So what I have tried to help people appreciate is that it's more important that it happens than who does it, or, my goodness, who gets credit for it. I think probably the hardest but the most important aspect to that in forging that relationship is to make it easier for academic affairs to say yes. And by providing resources that maybe they don't have. And ideally letting them believe it was their idea.
Yeah.
And if you can do that, then you're onto something really very, very special. And I think that's where the role of the executive director or director of residence life really needs to focus much more of their energy in the future, and that's externally. Hire the staff necessary to run the operation, and use the leader of that department to be a visionary, to be the cheerleader, to understand the needs of your program well enough that she or he, with the support of their team, can identify the resources necessary to do that, and then go out and get it. And if that means getting academic affairs on board, it means also then, as a consequence, creating the kinds of relationships with the leadership of academic affairs, getting yourself on the kinds of committees that will allow, it's kind of a collateral assignment for the director, where she or he has the opportunity to sit on committees with people who have never had the residential experience on their radar at all. And you spend time listening, and listen, what are their frustrations? What do they feel our students are attending to well? What are some of the shortcomings? And then use that information constructively to help define opportunities.
We have been talking for the longest time about how to bring academic affairs and student affairs together. I happen to be really fortunate on my campus just within the last 2 years that our housing operation is now under the provost area. And we are now retitled that, instead of provost, the chief learning officer. And we are part of that whole learning division now. So I think the greater we get the partnerships on that, the better off we're going to be in the long run with partnering academics with what we do in university housing and residence life.
Well, I think we have to show faculty how we can contribute to the academic enterprise. On my campus, as we've done renovations, we've created classroom and seminar spaces so that classes could be offered. We've worked with faculty to create various living learning programs, and we were pleased that the National Study of Living Learning Programs picked Florida State out of 4 campuses to visit, to look at what we had accomplished. So we sat at the table with faculty, planned it out, showed them how it could benefit them. For example, we have one building where virtually all of the freshman music students could live if they wanted to, and most of them do. There are music practice rooms, there's a keyboard classroom, there is a grand piano in the lounge, there's a music ensemble room. So we have to step to the plate and help them see how, working together, we can enrich what they do as well as what we do.
My experience at Illinois, at the University of Illinois, is the best that I've had in that realm of our work. Our provost's office, our academic partners, really support what we do a great deal. our living learning communities, for example, at Illinois, have to be initiated by an academic department.
Really?
And they have to bring resources to the table, and they have to be able to offer some personnel, and they have to bring some courses for credit that we can offer in the community. So to me, what we do at Illinois, we don't call it a living learning community unless it's been initiated by an academic partner and the provost signs off, and then housing becomes a partner with that academic unit. Student affairs becomes a partner with that academic unit. I know in a lot of settings, housing or student affairs has to initiate the living learning. At Illinois, it works the other way, and we've been successful because our academic partners, they have a stake in the success of what we're doing. It's not us going to them trying to get them to play. They come to us and ask us to partner with them. So it's a nice place to be, and I think it's a great model because I think it really then strives to, it really affords the opportunity for that integration, real integration of the academic and student life components to merge, to integrate.
How do we contribute to academic success? And one of the things you have to be prepared to do in housing is to let your organization evolve. You need to be kind of paying attention to what the mission, vision of the institution is. It changes over time. But what I've found incredibly important right now is to begin to look at the RA role, to look at we have resident coordinators, but the full-time professional staff that are living in, and think about what their purpose is. And as we thought about that and began to wrestle with it and looking at retention for our campus, it's very clear that how can they support academic success? What can they do? What are the conversations that they can have? And we know for that coordinator staff, training them not so that they're students' academic advisors, but so that they have the same information as academic advisors is incredibly helpful to them, so that they have the right conversations. And then, what we've looked at is literally scripting those conversations to help them know what they need to say, but not so scripted that it's not them having a conversation. Scripted so that there are important things to talk to the student about, to understand how they're doing. And then to convey that through that staff to the resident assistant staff.